Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Cinema Smoke Talkery. I'm your friendly neighborhood ecologist, and joining me today is someone different. You may have recognized him before. Kill Will Volume 2. Isaac's a little out of the weather today, so we had to call in the replacement. Good buddy of mine. I haven't seen him in a while, so what better way to have him come join the podcast and smoke? How you doing, Will?
Doing pretty good.
That's fucking
It's
great.
been a hot minute since I've been on this.
It's been a hot minute since you come and smoke in general.
I mean, yeah. Being busy for a month is a month.
Yeah.
2 jobs sucks. Don't do 2 jobs, guys.
You know what? You should get 2 phones. You know why? You get 2 phones, one for the hose and Pokemon Go. So, the podcast today, we're going to be talking about Star Trek. Clearly, because we have all this stuff going on for Star Trek.
Yo, Picard's pretty good for the captain of the Enterprise.
I fucking hate you. Get the fuck out of my house. No, so it's May 4th is when this video is going to be going. May the 4th be with you all. So, Will, I know we had we bounced around a couple different ideas of what we're going to talk about for the podcast, because Star Wars is a very, very lucrative franchise and very, very picky.
There's a lot of material in the Star Wars universe. You can use expanded material, canon material, anything except the 8th movie.
The 8th movie is the best one. What do you mean?
Oh man, no.
Rian Johnson fucking nailed it.
There's the door. Get out.
Okay, you know what? The Last Jedi is not a bad movie until you add Canto Bight. There's a lot of stuff that they did in that movie that was right. Canto Bight was the one thing I did not like about it, which many of us will agree. Canto Bight was a very unnecessary thing.
Yeah, very beautiful set design. You know what? Let's go talk about the 8th movie before we go into the actual conversation we wanted to have.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good set design. Mm-hmm. The set designs are clean, they're sleek. The fight in Snoke's throne room was a beautiful fight, despite some discrepancies.
Sure.
But a beautiful fight nonetheless.
Of course. And that, the whole 8th movie itself, there was, the one thing I did have a problem with, and this is, I think, just due to Disney in general, is that they have the Marvel effect. I call it the Marvel effect because you have serious moments, and Star Wars has always been a very serious kind of movie, right? A very serious, franchise. But then you have jokes cut in, when Rey's handing the lightsaber, what does Luke do? He tosses it, right? And Mark Hamill did such a great job. He didn't like the movie itself, but he believed in Rian Johnson. He's like, look, I don't like this, but I'm going to do the vision you have set for me anyways. Which shows him as an actor in itself. Because Mark Hamill didn't like it. He wanted to come back in The Rise of Skywalker, but no, homie, you're dead. We're going to keep that in continuity. And The Rise of Skywalker, they even bring up the Holdo maneuver where she's an admiral, right?
Yeah.
Admiral Holdo shoots through a Star Destroyer at hyperspeed. That's a 1 in a million chance, and it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff in Star Wars that's going by, and Star Wars has 11 live action movies? It's 11.
11, because you have Solo and Rogue One.
So there's a lot of...
the 9 major installments.
Of course, the Skywalker saga. Now, I believe, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people will agree with me here, that The Rise of Skywalker was a great fan service movie. It was very well received with great Easter eggs and everything, but it was not a real good end to the Skywalker saga.
It felt like it was lacking as an ending.
It's a great way to end the new trilogy. 100%. It had a lot of coming together moments. As a
trilogy, great series. Mm-hmm. As a trilogy. Yeah, 9 had to backtrack on a lot of what happened in 8. Had to correct some issues.
Correct.
But as in trilogy, good trilogy. As the end of a saga, on the other hand, it doesn't really leave a lot of room for progress for future movies in that canon.
Yeah, but you know what? I think Daisy Ridley had said in an interview, I could be wrong on this, but she is still up for reprising her role as Rey. And I think there's a lot of stuff they can do, and Star Wars is getting a lot of spin-offs. We're getting the Cassian Andor show. We've already gotten Mandalorian. Now we're getting the Book of Boba Fett next year.
Oh, really?
We are getting the Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, man.
Tamora Morrison's reprising his role as Boba Fett, and I kind of want to see him do Captain Rex in the Ahsoka series. Right? And I think we're getting an animated spin-off of Rebels too.
Yeah, that's there's a lot that Disney has planned for Star Wars. Thank you for Star Wars Land.
I still need to go.
Let's wait for COVID to abate fully and
Yeah.
make a trip out of that. That's going to be fun.
That's good. I bought a hilt at the Outpost shop in downtown Disney. I got Asajj Ventress's lightsaber hilt because they didn't have Count Dooku's, and I always liked their lightsabers compared to everyone else's because
The dueling hilts.
the dueling hilts, yeah, because Count Dooku has his own style that he's mastered. I think it's Form 5.
It's Form 5 lightsaber combat. It's the best for one-on-one duels.
And it's meant specifically for dueling. And you even see Count Dooku as he duels, he's dueling in a fencing manner. And that's why he holds his hilt like this.
If you pay attention through the entire series, you can easily tell that Dooku is the most skilled lightsaber combatant in the series.
No, he really is. Like, he spent his whole, like, if you read into canon universe stuff, he's perfected it. Because yes, you learn all 7 lightsaber styles, and obviously you prefer one. Like, Obi-Wan's a master of Sorsu, and Yoda uses Form 4.
Obi-Wan Kenobi is the master of Form 3.
Oh, he is, 100%.
Not a master of it. He is the master.
He's also the master of trolling. And the master of the high ground.
But where does he kill Maul from?
The high ground.
The low ground.
Ooh.
He also kills Grievous from the low ground. He's not only a master of the high ground, he is also a master of the low ground.
Maybe he also will be a master of the mid ground. Kenobi is another series we're supposed to be getting soon. And I love Ian McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. He fits the role so perfectly.
You know what series would be really good? More Clone Wars. More clones. Clones feel very underwhelming from the movie standpoint.
Mhm.
They're just kind of fodder there.
Yeah.
The Clone Wars animated series gives us a lot more personality behind the clones, but it's still focused on the Jedi more than the clones. And it's like, we see Rogue One, we see Solo, we see these movies starting to follow non-Jedi characters, so clones need more love.
Speaking of more clones and more clone love, the Bad Batch is coming out. So I was hoping it didn't release on May 4th today, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna end up doing the podcast on following the story of the Bad Batch, just like we've been doing with WandaVision and with Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
That's how it ended, but
Yeah, but no, it's still Captain America and the Winter Soldier now.
as of episode 6, yeah.
Yes. So, I think that's what we're going to end up doing. I know I wanted to take a month off and not doing it, but I feel like it would be a disjustice not to, especially how big of a Star Wars fan I am,
Oh yeah.
not to cover it.
A series like that, a weekly review of it, go over Easter eggs, go over some of the
Exactly.
more important aspects, where the show could go, where it's going.
And we get a lot of, in the couple of trailers that we've gotten, we know that the Bad Batch is taken immediately after Order 66. So I'm wondering if Clone Battalion or Clone Force 6099 even has their inhibitor chips, because they're all defective clones. It could be said that they don't have their inhibitor chips or they got it removed. Because if you see the trailer, the only clone we don't see running from Kamino is their sniper. I forgot his name, but I think it's Longshot.
Yeah.
Longshot. He's the only one we don't see, and we now know we see the trailer having the hollow projection of Emperor Palpatine saying we are now going to become the first galactic empire. So we're going to be seeing a lot of stuff like that, and what could be saying, because we have Echo, who just now joined Clone Force 99, because after the Clone Wars series, he ended up being controlled, and that's why they know the Clone strategies for the entire Republic. Because Echo and Rex were the ones who made up that playbook.
Yeah. Rex was a very, very good clone.
You know what I'm actually kind of wondering? What happened to Cody?
Commander Cody, I think he was in the original Order 66 against Kenobi.
He was, but no, I meant after that. Because in the expanded universe, he ended up training stormtroopers and being part of, it was rested on Kamino for the most part. So now we don't know what his story is, and I'm wondering if I don't think they're going to do it, but I wonder if they are going to try to incorporate what happened to some of the other major clones that we miss. Because we already know Gregor and we already know Wolf get their inhibitor chips removed and join Rex. I don't know if we're going to see that, and we're going to see the aftermath of a lot of it. Because if you read a lot of the other comics that that Marvel's put out for Star Wars, we see that the Kanan Dune comic book showed the clones attacking Kanan, but he got them to realize, like, whoa, we did this. We're their friends. Like, why are they betraying them? You know what I mean? So, like, we seen that, and we see in another Darth Vader comic where when he's on Mon Cala, another set of clones used the stormtroopers, and he used I forgot the Jedi who was there, but he used Order 66, and they attacked the Inquisitors.
Yeah. That's something I would also like to see out of the Bad Batch is some of early Vader.
Actually, the voice actor for Anakin is going to be in the Clone Wars. I think he's going to be as Anakin Skywalker, not Darth Vader Anakin, compared to Vader-suited Anakin.
Yeah.
So we're going to see that too. So it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to come forth from this series.
It'll be interesting to see. And that's something that I think a lot of the community's been looking forward to. Because it's one of the most popular time frames in all of Star Wars.
You know what, like, when I was younger, and like when I was watching the Clone Wars, I said specifically, I'm tired of hearing of the Clone Wars. Because we have nothing but prequel knowledge. Right? We got no information of the time frame between Episode 3 and Episode 4.
Yeah, there was...
Of course, like, I didn't read any of the expanded stuff. I didn't know about Thrawn, and then after the Galactic Civil War. Right? So we didn't get a lot of that until we got Rebels. And when we got Rebels, I was super stoked. Because if you really watch Rebels, yes, the animation style isn't what it is to the Clone Wars, granted, but if you look into it, a lot of time and effort went into Dave Filoni's vision for that show, and even the lightsaber duels were very reminiscent of how the original lightsaber duels were done.
A very, very underwhelming fight in the Rebels is the final fight between Maul and Obi-Wan.
That still bothers me to this day.
It's underwhelming, but it is one of the most well-done fights in all of Star Wars, and you cannot change my mind on that.
No, I agree. Like, it's a very underwhelming fight, but the history between it, and then you can see Obi-Wan's knowledge of what's he gonna do, because he's fought Maul at this point hundreds of times.
Oh yeah, there's. I don't think there's another Jedi who's fought as many Sith or other lightsaber users as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No, you're right, because Vader could be another attribute for that too, because he had to hunt down Jedi. We have non-canon material now because he helped Starkiller. He trained Starkiller, and then he ended up being more powerful, and ended up losing. But he also hunted down in another comic book. Darth Vader went to some planet. It wasn't Mustafar. It was another lava-based planet where Sidious had sent him, and they brought back Darth Maul. So there's a comic book where Darth Maul fights Darth Vader. And Vader wins, and he's like, who do you hate? Like, what do you hate more than to give you this much power? He stabs the lightsaber through himself. He's like, I hate myself. And that's what keeps Vader going, right? The hatred for himself, for losing to Obi-Wan, for not bringing back Padme and everything else like that.
Yeah, you can see that more of as Vader goes on, you can see less and less pride in what he used to be, and more trying to atone for his loss.
Yeah, and his pain comes from there, because even in the Darth Vader comics, he's fighting Darth Momin, a Sith who brought himself back to life through his helmet, through Sith alchemy.
Oh yeah, Sith alchemy is one of the greatest things that's ever come out of that.
You know what's crazy is that Jedi end up becoming Force ghosts, but Sith can't really do that. But they possess different items.
The Sith actually were the ones who created the Force Ghost technique.
Really?
Yeah, it is a dark side power.
That's very interesting. But you know what is crazy to me is it's a dark side power, but we see a lot of Jedi use it because Qui-Gon Jinn was so in tune with the Force.
We see, 4 users go through that?
Yeah. Qui-Gon, Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Luke.
Yep.
Technically 5 Leia.
That's a little...
4.5. 4.5.
But it is a dark side technique that Qui-Gon Jinn found and passed on to Yoda.
Oh, interesting. Did you know that Darth Bane, when he became canon in the Clone Wars, he was voiced by Mark Hamill?
Luke, how could you do this to us?
I think that's fucking great. No, there's actually like a whole bunch of stuff like about Star Wars, and what's crazy, what I love about this whole fandom, is that there's never enough creativity. There's never a cap on it. There's so much stuff done with it. I think I've showed you, but the reanimation of Obi-Wan and Darth Vader's fight on the Death Star.
Yes, to make it a more akin to what had happened prior.
Yeah,
rather than with the limited movements that they had in the original live action.
Exactly, and you know what? That's what I'm saying. Like, this fandom itself is not just oh, we love Star Wars. Like, they take it to a whole new level, and that's what I love about it.
Oh yeah, the thing is, there's just so much material. Mm-hmm. Look at all the games. Look at all the comics, the books.
Mm-hmm. You know, I'm sure you already know this, but you know they redid the Thrawn trilogy.
Really?
Oh, you didn't know that?
I read the original Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah, they did a new one. Oh shit, they did a new one. It's Thrawn Ascendancy, Thrawn something, and then it's like Thrawn. The new Thrawn trilogy is actually really well, and he goes and meets Darth Vader, and he realizes he's Anakin Skywalker, which is one of the few people who knew who he was before he became Darth Vader.
Yeah, Thrawn is one of the best characters in all of Star Wars.
How excited were you when you seen him come into the Rebel show?
I was excited to finally see him show up because I was so sad he didn't show up in any of the Clone Wars and any of the older material because he was actually sent to assassinate a whole bunch of people.
He was. And the only reason he joined the Empire and he didn't join the Republic is because he thought the Republic was weak, and when the Galactic Empire took form, he thought he could create an ally for the Chiss Ascendancy. And then, you know, obviously the Yuuzhan Vong attack in the expanded universe. They're no longer canon, but there's something very similar to it. Like they alluded to in the books. So, and he comes from the Chiss Ascendancy, which is in part of the unknown reaches of space.
Love that region. Some of the scariest stuff is out there, like Abeloth.
Yeah, and then Exegol too.
Yeah.
Exegol, you know what I didn't like about Exegol, and I swear this is like a pet peeve of mine. It's always going to be a pet peeve of mine. How Palpatine was able to get so many Imperial Star Destroyers out there. Like, how many people, like, I understand that he has enough influence to have all these people do what he wants.
Well, think about, for Exegol, the Battle of there, the sheer amount of Star Destroyers, fleet power, manpower that was assembled there. Mm-hmm. All of the major fights that we see that during episodes 4 through 6, it's a small rebel fleet. You're only seeing a small fraction of what's actually there for the Empire.
This is true.
A Star Destroyer is meant to subjugate an entire star system, and think about how many stars that the Empire had at that point. Mm-hmm. And when the Empire started to collapse after Palpatine, where were all of those Star Destroyers going to go?
Mm-hmm. That's true, and not to mention like how the First Order came to be. Because if you watch The Mandalorian, we're now starting to see how the First Order is really coming to power, right? Because we've seen a lot of stuff kind of go on, and everything is focused on the inner rim of the star system, not the outer rim, not the mid rim. But in the outer rim, that's where we're seeing, and even the unknown region, where we're seeing the First Order starting to come to power.
In the less regulated areas.
Exactly. And how these Imperial remnants are still kind of surviving. And it's crazy how we see so many bucketheads out there. And could we talk about how Stormtroopers actually have pretty accurate sharpshooting ability? They do, and here's a very popular theory which makes a lot of sense, is that they have a hard time shooting Force wielders. Because look, let's take Rogue One for example. Look how accurate they were gunning down rebels.
Oh yeah, the Stormtroopers, we always forget as Star Wars fans, they're the elite troops, not the regular troops. Mm-hmm. They're the elite members of the Imperial Army. Mm-hmm. They're the elite ground forces. Mm-hmm. But when when the Force comes in with these characters, their aim all of a sudden is a little off.
Because like they said, the Force is like guiding the blaster bolts away. Right, so it is, and it's crazy to me because like when I saw Rogue One, I'm like, great, we're gonna see shitty blaster fire, from stormtroopers. They're fucking accurate.
Oh no, their accuracy is the best in the entire Imperial Army. It's a shame that we don't get to see more of that through the movies.
Exactly, and like I said, like everyone, and I love the memes with stormtroopers. Have you seen like I'm gonna blast you I'm gonna blast you dead on in the face. Oh, babe, I miss you too.
The blaster alarm clock. Stormtrooper never gets any sleep.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's led to some of the greatest memes for Star Wars, but it's not founded in truth.
Right. And you know what I didn't get with the Imperial era of Star Wars is how they go from having a clone army, which seems a lot more practical, right? But it must cost a lot of money to have a clone army.
Well, when you look at it from financials, if you're militarizing an entire empire, which is what Palpatine was doing,
Of course.
it doesn't make sense to have clones anymore.
No,
You
financially
have to have-
it makes sense.
You have to have your regular people get jobs.
Mhm.
And what's the best way for them to get jobs? Join the military. And so you can militarize a large empire. You can indoctrinate. And clones only had half the lifespan of a normal human.
Unless you're Boba Fett.
Unless you're Boba Fett.
And then, you know what I really loved about that episode of The Mandalorian when they had to recruit Bo-Katan? Is how they don't even recognize him as a Mandalorian. He never says that he is, right? But we get Jango Fett is officially a Mandalorian because in the Clone Wars they tell him he's not, but he's from the Mandalorian. I forgot what the Mandalorian Crusaders,
Yes.
right?
One of the fringe groups.
Yeah, exactly. Who didn't join Death Watch? Who were the radicals and everything else like that. So Jango Fett is a true Mandalorian. That's what it is. The true Mandalorians.
Yeah.
And then that's how Boba Fett got his armor, right? And it was. Couldn't we just talk about how Tamor Morrison didn't go back for his armor for like the whole fucking 5 years? He wasn't doing anything after the Sarlacc pit.
No.
Right? Like you think you would just go for the armor,
Get your armor back. You're a Mandalorian.
but like that scene where he came back and got the armor was the most savage. That was is still my all-time favorite scene in The Mandalorian.
That is a very good scene in Mandalorian. That is very well done. Good choreograph. Good set pieces.
You know what I'm interested to see in the book of Boba Fett is what they're going to do with him. Because Jabba the Hutt's dead, and we see Bib Fortuna being incredibly fat and take over Jabba's empire, right? And then now he's dead. So is Boba Fett going to take over and become a Prime Lord?
I doubt that we're going to see something like that from Boba Fett. I think Boba Fett's going to continue to be a bounty hunter rather than a crime lord.
No, but like my point being, like look at like what are they going to set up for him? Like what, you know what I mean? Like the man who literally is just a simple man making his way through the galaxy. What is he going to do? Right? Yes, you can atone for your sins as a bounty hunter, but who would have more control? Like if he controlled the empire, he controlled Jabba's empire in the underworld, he would give him more precedence, and he doesn't believe in reclaiming Mandalore because the empire turned into glass. Right? There's nothing there.
Well, that's just something we're going to have to wait to see.
That's something I'm excited to see about.
When I was younger, I didn't like Jango or Boba.
Really?
I didn't care much for them. But as I've gotten older, it's like, these are just the regular dudes of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
But I think all of us, when we were kids, like we loved the lightsabers. We loved having all that. We loved being part of the Jedi Order or the Sith Empire. You know what I mean? We always loved those. But when you get into it and you see some of these other characters get their shine, like we have been, we're starting to see like what regular people can do and how skilled Mandalorians are and how other bounty hunters work.
yeah, it's important to see that because Star Wars has for far too long been, here's a lightsaber duel, go.
Yeah. So, okay, let me ask you this. Me personally, I did not like how they made Grogu force sensitive. I didn't like it. I get it, it's Star Wars, have a lightsaber. I understand. But I'm not saying I don't like him as a character, and I don't say I don't like the show overall. right? But I don't like how they're having like if you had to go with a Jedi route. If they didn't do that and have him just like he's a family, help him find his family or his own species. You don't have to technically make him force sensitive. Am I mad about it? Absolutely not, because Grogu's fucking cute as shit. But I don't think it is quite necessary.
Yeah, what it does is it gives us a little more insight into the species.
Exactly. So it is.
It's like,
very
well,
interesting to see.
you could say that Force-sensitive characters are just going to go straight to the Jedi. I don't think that Force-sensitive characters go straight there. I think Force-sensitive characters are important to have as just an actual kind of character. Not just, oh, hey, look, I'm a Force-sensitive, give me my lightsaber.
And you know what's kind of cool is that the fact that not like you were saying, not every Force-sensitive child has to become a Jedi. Because obviously Luke took him at the end of the season, but we don't necessarily. That's not necessarily his path, right? Because Grogu is now 50 years old. He's not present in the new canon, so we don't know if he's even alive or dead, right? So the Mandalorian can show him like, yeah, he trained with Luke, but he wants to be with Mando.
Yeah.
So we can see that as well. So to see this whole aspect of what he's going to do, because Luke was always a very different kind of Jedi. He's seen the fall of the original Jedi Order, and their height to power led to, Palpatine rising.
Yeah.
And then the Sith rule.
The Jedi becoming part of the government was one of the big problems.
I understand why they're called peacekeepers, but you shouldn't be peacekeeping and become generals. How is it that you're going to dedicate your life to peace, but you're so skilled at killing people? So that's what I'm saying. Like, how are you going to be a peacekeeper but being so trained to kill people? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
It's a long history with the Jedi. You look at it, it's just how they are. It has happened because of the Sith.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we get a lot of stuff, and you know what I really want to see, and what's crazy to me, because when we get the visual dictionary of the Rise of Skywalker, I almost forgot the name for goddamn sake. We see that a lot of these older Sith Lords are now canon, because you see the Revan Battalion, you see we already know Darth Vader's canon because of the Rule 2 and that episode in the Clone Wars. Hey, babe.
But Revan being canon opens up a lot for what the Sith can end up doing.
Having Revan being canon in general is just such a great thing. Because he is such a popular character.
I'm a Jedi, I'm a Sith. I'm a Jedi, I'm a Sith. Which one are you? Make up your mind.
So, which kind of leads up to my point is, are we going to get a new Knights of the Old Republic that's canon?
That would be very good for us to get.
Yes.
It was a very good time frame, and it actually expands the universe to be a lot more interesting.
Not to mention we're getting Ubisoft developing a Star Wars game. It's no longer EA. EA is not going to be the only sole supplier of Star Wars games.
Oh, so good, thank God.
I bought Squadrons, played it for about 10 minutes. I realized how much I did not like TIE Fighter games.
The game's good. It's just its controls are kind of
shitty.
You have to have a special controller for it. You have to spend a lot of time to get good at it.
Can't play with this. Cannot play. I've tried multiple times. Cannot do it. One game I refused to play while smoking hookah. Because you see my little controller to hold everything.
Oh, yeah.
One game I refuse to play is Star Wars Battlefront while smoking. Because those matches take so fucking long. I love it to death. It's still a fun game to play. But I cannot, it just drives me insane. I'll play, one match of Supremacy takes fucking forever.
Yeah, I play Old Republic, the MMO.
Right.
That's my Star Wars game of choice.
You know what? We're supposedly getting a sequel to Fallen Order too.
Fallen Order was a great game. I think taking the inspiration from Dark Souls really makes sense for the Star Wars games.
Yeah, no, and it's just Dark Souls is obviously more difficult, but the gaming mechanics and everything they use for that, it's a very challenging game. They did the God of War kind of way too, having puzzles and action at the same time, and it was done really well.
Oh yeah, it was a very good game, and I think if we get a sequel to that, that's going to be very good for the universe as a whole.
Yeah, exactly. And we get a lot of stuff that's in there too. We get a lot of not backstory with the Empire, but we get a lot of stuff like what could possibly be going on, especially for Emperor Palpatine, right? Because there's been multiple times he's been trying to take Force-sensitive kids to have a dark side army, or to just replace Darth Vader. Because in the Vader comics, he fights Jocasta Nu, and the reason why she went back to the Jedi Temple is to get the holocron with all the unborn children. And that's only one of 2 holocrons. Like, how many holocrons are predicting Force-sensitive children? Is it an algorithm or something?
It probably is something along that. The Sith holocrons are... There's a lot of them, and they have a lot of different things. And Sidious, we might end up seeing Sidious go for more.
You know what's crazy? I kind of briefly watched a video about this from, I think, Star Wars Theory, or Bessie Comics, right? Where they're explaining how Snoke came to be. And it's actually a clone of Luke Skywalker's hand from Bespin.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm fairly positive about that. So we're just seeing how Snoke came to be. And another thing that kind of, like, this is me nitpicking at the series as a whole, is having Emperor Palpatine come back as a clone. Don't get me wrong, I love seeing him come back. But to see him come back and be Snoke, be all this, and be every voice Kylo Ren has ever heard, like, it's very, very, I think it was lazy writing.
They could have made it a little more interesting. The rule of 2 is definitely a very important part of what the Sith, how they operate now.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Padawan is always supposed to get stronger, and that shows why Sidious was actually looking for more Padawans for himself. Because Vader hit a cap.
Vader not only hit a cap when he got a suit, but Vader also became more powerful in the suit. And George Lucas, I think, just said recently that he doesn't need the suit to survive.
He uses the suit because it's pain.
Yeah, and it drives his power, which makes sense why Palpatine designed it that way. Because if you look at all the other cybernetics that other people have had, and like I keep going back to the Star Wars comics, like Vader has fought more Jedi and Sith in this new canon than he has before. Right? Because we have the Mon Cala cyborg in there now. He's fought multiple Jedi. And he really comes out on top, and he's fought a couple Sith, too.
Yeah. One of the things that isn't really portrayed well in the earlier movies, just simply because of product of the time, is how actually strong Vader was.
Like how he showed off in Rogue One just shows how devastating Darth Vader is. When you walk down that Darth highway, you see a red lightsaber blade, you're fucked. Absolutely.
You can't run. You're done.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. Like, Vader is a very powerful character.
And I want
the
to see more
most
of that.
evil motherfucker in the world. He cuts off his own son's hand and said, "Hey, you want to join me now?"
Okay, you know what? Pain reinforces decisions.
And you know what? Vader is 1 6 sons of bitch. And it's crazy because like I read the comics and I keep up with them. Is that Darth Vader now, because we're getting the Star Wars in between episodes 4 and 5 and 6, and how Darth Vader is now planning to have Luke join him. Right, and now to pursue the rule too, to overthrow his master. And Anakin is clearly the chosen one, because he did bring balance to the Force, at the cost of his own life, but he did.
Yeah.
So it's actually really good. And what I think they didn't use, and it was always talked about in the new trilogy, is having Anakin's Force Ghost appear. Hayden Christensen plays his role as Darth Vader, and be there for Luke and then for Kylo Ren. So it was supposed to be a split. Like, yes, you can still see Vader's ghost when he was talking to Kylo, but he can talk to Luke. Because Anakin's another one who randomly got the ability to get the Force Ghost ability.
Yeah, that was a very random.
Not as much. If you read the Tales, it's another book, The Tales of Star Wars, and it kind of goes into some of these other aspects of it. And you kind of answer some unsolved questions where Obi-Wan's talking to Qui-Gon for a little bit, and how he's able to connect with the Force Ghost, right? And it even says that Obi-Wan came to Anakin in that moment and said, "Hey, come here, let's go." And that's how he was able to become a Force Ghost. He actually appeared as Anakin to Leia. Only one time. And then never came back because she was distraught and everything about what he's done to her friends with the Rebel Alliance. right? And then you see his conviction, and then she reads more about Anakin Skywalker and more of his tale and more about Padme and everything like that, and she understands. And then I think he came back one other time, but I'm not 100% sure.
It is important. The Force Ghost idea is a very important thing for the new, for Star Wars moving forward from here.
Yeah, because now you can get these, we can get these characters connecting with with the Force Ghost before, because Yoda only appeared to Luke when he was distraught, right? And it shows that these Force Ghosts, yes, they are teachers, but they only come when it's most necessary. Because Yoda came to Luke when he tried to burn down the trees. Like, did you read all those texts? He's like, well, like they're not page turners, but the greatest teacher is experience. And you failed, and you can't just tell what happened in the past. You have to also experience what you have gone through.
Yeah.
And that's going to move the Jedi moving forward. And what I thought they were going to do with the Rise of Skywalker, instead of Rey saying she's a Skywalker instead of Palpatine, instead of calling the Jedi Order the Jedi, they can call them Skywalkers. That's what everyone thought was going to happen.
That would have been a good way to end that.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, there was a lot of missed opportunities in The Last Jedi and in The Rise of Skywalker. But for what we got, it was actually really well. Now, if you were to try to rank all 11 movies, how would you rank them?
Well, we already know what the bottom one is.
Solo. Yeah. Solo 100%.
Solo comes in at number 11.
Alright, so they only listed the only 9, but we already know where Rogue One and Solo place.
Yeah.
So we agree that Solo is number 11.
It's hard for me to figure out the 10th place one because there's a couple movies that just fight for that spot.
A New Hope.
What?
A New Hope.
There's A New Hope, Phantom Menace.
Nope. I rank Phantom Menace a bit higher.
And as much as I have praise and good parts about eighth movie, Last Jedi.
Okay, I can agree with that.
I could put that in the 10th spot. And I do honestly think that A New Hope is probably the worst of that group.
In the original trilogy, yes. In my 9th spot, I'm going to have to... Well, I'll agree with you. 10 does... The Last Jedi can be number 10.
Yeah, Last Jedi is pretty bad, and the fact where we look at it here is it does have to get retconned in the 9th movie.
It does.
So, we could go 10, Last Jedi.
9, I want to say is... let's see here. I want to say Return of the Jedi. It was a very... I'm not saying it's not a bad movie. It's not a way to end the trilogy. Why I put it at number 9 is because it doesn't do much else. Right? It doesn't wrap up a lot. It really is just... It was, I wouldn't say cash grab, but we were supposed to get Kashyyyk instead of Endor. And now, instead of having the Wookiees...
Isn't that A New Hope?
Nope.
No, right.
That's
Return of the Jedi. That is the 6th movie.
Yeah. Return of the Jedi, I have to put at number 9 because, like, we got... George Lucas wanted to make money off that film, let's face it. Like, anyone would have in that position. And that's why we got the Ewoks instead of the Wookiees. I was going to call them the Kashyyykians.
Yeah, I could put this episode 6 there.
What goes number 8? It's easier to name the bad ones than it is starting to name some of the better ones. But number 8, I think I'm going to put Clone Wars.
Clone Wars.
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones, episode 2 was not that good. I think it was still better than Phantom Menace.
If you watch it now, and I've watched it with all my knowledge of Star Wars, Phantom Menace does a lot more story-wise than the Clone Wars does.
Well, it has to. It has to reintroduce.
Not only that, but we see that Darth Maul is the Phantom Menace, but the real Phantom Menace is Palpatine.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it ranks a little bit higher than it does, than Attack of the Clones.
And we're looking at number 8, and he
Attack
brought
of the
up
Clones.
some good ideas about Attack of the Clones. It didn't hold up to the test of time.
No, when it came out, it was so amazing, right? And everyone raved about it. But when you look at it, and can we talk about the Jedi Master Yoda saying we shouldn't fight in a war. Went out, got the clone army, and initiated the Clone Wars himself.
Yeah, I think what's the big part about the plus side of this one, where we actually have to start making the distinctions between the lower ones and higher tiers. The good part here is we have a massive battle that has the Jedi losing. That's probably the best part of that. They're losing to regular people at this point.
They're not losing to people, they're losing to droids.
And the Vespians, and there's more. They're losing.
Yeah.
And the clones come in and save the Jedi.
But we get Tamora Morrison as every fucking clone. And Jango Fett.
But then that brings us to, what do we put at number 7?
Fuck me.
It's a difficult choice.
Episode 7?
I think it did better than The Phantom Menace.
I still wouldn't put the Phantom Menace there. I think Phantom Menace would be a better 6 because, let's face it, it's just, you look at episode 7, it's just a rebrand of A New Hope.
It's a good rebrand of the New
Hope. Hold on, you know what? I say A New Hope goes there. A New Hope does not stand the test of time. Yes, it's an amazing story, we get the great hero's journey. But when you look at all the other installments that we're looking at towards this film, I think it does not hold the test.
You know what? Through its time frame that it came out, I think it deserves to be a little better than where we want to put it.
Where you want to put it, I have no problem putting it there. Right? To be fair, like I said, we all grew up watching Star Wars. We all grew up, but the fact of the matter is that George Lucas keeps re-editing it. It's making it worse.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's go for 7th spot. Let's put episode 4.
That's fair.
The thing that started it all.
And not to say that we're just discredit, because if we didn't have Star Wars, we didn't have that Star Wars film, we wouldn't have the rest of it.
Now, looking at 6, we have an option here. At this point, it's a relatively easy option. Episode 7, Episode 1, or Episode 9.
Oh, you bitch. What deserves that spot?
What?
Let me hear your thoughts on that.
The movie that hits the halfway mark here, like, out of all the films, what ends up being at that halfway mark of true quality in the Star Wars franchise?
Quality-wise, story-wise, or visually-wise?
Either way, you can have things ranked differently and still be there. I think visually 7 and 9 are outstanding.
Of course.
But episode 1, to me, there was an entire arc that didn't really mean anything in the movie. It did, but it didn't.
Oh, Misa Jar Jar Binks.
No, okay, we're not even going to talk about that demon of a sin. Get that out of here. We don't talk about the Binks.
I would say that this next spot would go to episode 1.
Because
the real redeeming quality other than Darth Maul being introduced is the fact that the pod racing was the most highlight of that movie.
the pod racing was so good, but it's also one of the worst arcs in the movie.
Okay.
Because it is visually stunning for what it is, but its entire purpose is to just get a new piece for the ship.
Yep. And it's also just a great way to sell video games.
So it didn't really... They spent a lot of time on it. It didn't move forward the story that fast. It didn't move the story...
It took like a whole hour dedicated to that whole arc.
And it could have been compressed. And that's where episode 1 really starts to lose points. Like, even though it was so well done, it didn't really move the story forward. Yes, it gave us a better insight into Anakin, but we could have gotten that at any other point in the story. So then we go to 5.
The halfway mark.
6 was the halfway mark.
Debatable.
Between 11 and 1, 6 is in the middle.
Debatable.
Math would like to debate here.
Look, bro, I'm a car salesman. We don't do math here.
I forgot. You're a car salesman.
Can't forget that one. What goes in that spot? Like, this is...
This is where we have 5 films left. We have episode 3, Episode 5, Episode 1. That's not 1. We just put 1 there.
We have
7
Rogue
and
One.
9,
7 and 9 are Rogue One.
and Rogue One.
I think personally that Episode 7 could take this spot
I would agree
because
with
9
you.
is way better than Episode 7.
7 is just a rebrand of 4. If 4 is pretty far down there, 7 should be down there as well.
No,
But
I agree.
I do think 7 did a better job than 1 and 4.
That's true, but that's why it's high on the list.
So then,
We had a fun time.
I think it's just in the 4th spot. I'm going to have to say 9 goes here.
Oh, I'm interested to see what your top 3 is, so yes, I would agree with that. I'm not going to really debate you on that one because, let's face it, the other 3 entries are a lot better than Episode 9.
Oh, man.
I even have a hard time with this, so don't even feel bad.
Revenge of the Sith, Rogue One, Empire Strikes Back. I think I actually have to put Rogue One.
You're going to
at
put
the-
Rogue One over Revenge of the Sith.
Yes. I'm going to put Rogue One over Revenge of the Sith.
Ooh, that's a tough. I'm gonna disagree with that one because I think Rogue One is way more well done than Revenge of the Sith. Not just visually, story wise, I do really like Revenge of the Sith. It is my second favorite Star Wars movie. I love what they did there. I love the introduction of General Grievous and the most classic meme ever there. Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Thank you. So yeah, there's that aspect to it, but no, let's face it. Let's look at Episode 3 for a second. Episode 3, especially if you watch the Clone Wars last couple episodes, when you watch those and then go back to watch that particular point in Episode 3 where they're going right before Order 66, it gives us a lot more character, and I think that's what bumps it. For me, it puts it in the number 2 spot compared to Rogue One. I think Rogue One was visually done very well, and I don't think it deserves the 3rd spot, and I think Revenge of the Sith would go 3rd. Because of the fact that, yes, I may love it, and it's one of my personal favorite movies, but Rogue One was done better, and it's a Star Wars anthology film that we didn't ask for, but we're so happy that we got.
Yeah, I'll agree that it was a very well done thing. I do think Revenge of the Sith, I'm not even going to put in the Clone Wars series in here. I think for what Revenge of the Sith does is it sets up the rest of what the franchise was going to be better than what Rogue One could have done.
Okay, that's a valid point.
It sets up one of the greatest antagonists of all time.
I
Darth
think
Vader.
He's the greatest antagonist of all time. I don't think he's one of the greatest. I think he is the greatest. Because I watched, this was years ago on VH1, top 100 villains, and Darth Vader was number 1.
Vader is the most recognizable villain.
You think of Star Wars, you think of 2 people. You think of Darth Vader and you think of Yoda.
Yes.
100%.
And I'm not going to debate that, but that is why I put Rogue One at 3 and Revenge of the Sith at 2.
See, I would flip those. I think Rogue One deserves to be at number 3. Because don't get me wrong, I really like it and everything, but I do like I said, this is me personally, and I just love Revenge of the Sith and how well it sets up everything else. But I like how Rogue One really developed A New Hope and gave it more of a backstory. Because let's face it, we get a kid being like Luke Skywalker, and you see the desperation in the Rebel Alliance in Episode 4. Why are they so desperate? They didn't just they didn't. If you didn't have Rogue One explain how desperate the situation really was and how this hillbilly ass kid says you can shoot a womp rat at that fucking closer range. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you can see the arrogance in him now, and when you see what just happened in Rogue One, we're like, come on, bro, like, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit.
It gives credence to Episode 4, but I have to put the creation of Vader, that entire lightsaber duel on Mustafar.
That's the longest lightsaber duel in Star Wars.
For a good reason, too.
And it's one of the best. Like,
It has to do with absolutely everything that Obi-Wan Kenobi is as a character. Mm-hmm. You don't see him really take the offense at any given point until "Don't do it, Anakin." And I think the entire lightsaber battle, which is important, I think it's more important than Yoda versus Sidious.
What would you think realistically would have happened if Obi-Wan went to fight him instead?
Went to fight Sidious? Mm-hmm. Obi-Wan would have gotten his ass destroyed. The only reason we see Anakin and Obi-Wan have equal force powers in their battle in Mustafar is Anakin doesn't want to kill Obi-Wan yet.
Yeah, and do you think that Obi-Wan is holding back?
No, Obi-Wan is doing his absolute best with his force ability to stay ahead of Anakin so Anakin doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
He was struggling against, at this point, a newly empowered Anakin with Sith powers.
Yeah, and it's not.
And he's struggling.
Desperately struggling.
So if we had Kenobi versus Sidious, Sidious hands down. Kenobi is canonically one of the weaker Force users within the Jedi group. He's one of the weaker ones.
Okay, so let's take this from his perspective real quick. We now know that the dogmatic views of the Jedi were led to their downfall. But let's take Ki-Adi-Mundi for a second. He had multiple wives and sat on the Jedi Council. And I think if somebody else trained Anakin instead of Obi-Wan, let's take Mace Windu for example. He probably would have been way more if Obi-Wan didn't train him and Mace Windu did. We probably would have gotten a whole different set of movies.
Oh, if Qui-Gon Jinn lived.
Yeah, I mean, of course we can always say what if, but I'd say Mace Windu because he was a master of Mapad, using dark side ability to overpower his enemies. Do that, and he would have a way more understanding and way more compassion for Anakin because you even see it in the zoo. Samuel L. Jackson did not give a fuck about Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, it was one of those things of... Again, this is the whole reason I put Revenge of the Sith above Rogue One. Rogue One is a great film. Mm-hmm. Rogue One sets up the original movie very well. Mm-hmm. It is a non-Jedi film. It is very well done. But again, Revenge of the Sith just has these encounters, the fights, the scenes. It's the culmination of a lot of important plot. Mm-hmm. And that's why I put it above, because you see, I am the Senate. Mm-hmm.
That was so funny.
You see all of these great moments, all these great scenes. While a lot of people didn't like it in the long run, Revenge of the Sith, I think Revenge of the Sith is one of the better Star Wars films out there.
Okay, so I had a debate with this with a classmate of mine. We're on the film set. It was a film class, and we're talking about Star Wars. All right, and in the novelization of Revenge of the Sith, and we see why only Mace Windu was alive because everyone else didn't see how quickly Palpatine was, right? Do you think that when they made the movie, they just kind of made Palpatine so overpowered that he can knock out 3 Jedi Masters? Now, we know the actual, as someone who just watches the movie and someone who studies it like we do, right? We know that he is that fast and he can move that quick. Do you think that it was just for plot in the movie, or do you really think, like, Palpatine was that powerful? I believe Palpatine was that powerful.
One of the things that is done in a lot of series to really hammer home how powerful a character is quick dispatching of characters that we know are powerful. Mm-hmm. So if Palpatine was able to kill 3 Jedi that fast, that's there for legitimate plot reasons to show how powerful he is. Not just, we need him to dispatch these Jedi because they're Jedi. It's, we need him to dispatch these Jedi to prove how powerful
and
this
these are
character
Jedi
is.
Masters too. Like, let's not take into account, it's not just regular Padawan or Jedi Knights. These are legitimate masters. Like, the only reason why I bring that up is because, like I said, I want to hear your thought about it. Because I already know how I feel, and like I know Palpatine is that powerful, right?
Palpatine is canonically
the strongest Sith alive.
Strongest Sith of all time. He outdoes Revan. He outdoes a whole bunch of the Old Republic Sith. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're crazy. But if Palpatine was given the budget in the films, we would see some of the crazier moves that he can do. Warp storms. His Force Lightning.
His Force Lightning stopped an entire fucking Rebel fleet.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not an entire fleet.
No,
enough.
It stopped the majority of a fleet. And that's a fleet that's hard to get because the Rebels aren't, like...
They're not standing still.
Well, we're not going to use capital ships, which are a lot slower moving. We're going to use a lot of lighter ships, a lot of fast fighters and things like that. That's what the Rebel Alliance was. And Sidious is like, how about you don't?
Right?
And he wasn't even near the battle. He wasn't even near them.
He was just
like,
sitting down after he drained the Force Dyad.
he just was like, let's stop him right now.
We're done.
There's no other Sith who had the ability to do that from different stars. Yeah, there are Sith who are powerful enough to destroy planets.
Mm-hmm.
But there's never a Sith who's powerful enough to project his own force power stars away.
Right.
But that leaves us with one movie remaining. The number one. The best movie.
Empire Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back.
It's not just a good movie. It's not just a good Star Wars movie. It's a great movie itself. A sequel done up a lot better. Right? And that's why it's one of the greatest movies of all time. It is my number one favorite movie. And most people will agree, if maybe one or two won't, but it is still the best Star Wars movie out there.
It has its comedic value in it as well.
Yeah.
Not forced like in the Marvel movies, like the new trilogy suffers from.
It's very natural. I love you. I know. You know they had to take that take like 100 times though they got it right?
It was a very well done film. Its high points were very good. Mm-hmm. And it
the
really
greatest plot reveal ever made.
It puts the Rebel Alliance and our protagonists in a very difficult situation that they have to somehow come out of. Mm-hmm. And it's such an important fight. It's such an important, Hoth was so big. That entire instance, that could have been its own film and still done better than most of the other films on the list. Mm-hmm. It surely shows how backed into a corner the Rebel Alliance is.
True facts. That's like I said, there's no debating for me what takes this number one spot, and I think most of us will agree. It's such, like I said, it's from a film aspect, it's so well done, it's beautifully shot, and then how the story progresses very naturally. And we see the conflict with Luke: should I train or should I protect my friends? And we see the difference between the former Jedi Order, who took peace and training above anything else, to literal action to do what's right.
Yeah.
And that's where we see the real big difference. And where we see Luke in the expanded universe expand further because they weren't so heavily into politics. They followed the natural force like Qui-Gon did. Right? Because that's what the Jedi were meant to do. They were meant to, maybe not meant to, but that's what they originally stand for, to follow the views of the force, not views of political power and keeping peace.
It was a shame that that's how it ended up to the Jedi. If it weren't for that, I'd definitely be on the Jedi side, the Old Republic side, instead of leaning more towards the Empire.
The Sith have their faults, and they crave for power, but their power comes from the passion of what they have for everything else. Right? Let's take Darth Vader. Palpatine's ambition led to his rise of power. Darth Vader became powerful because he followed what he believed in and his love for his wife. Yeah. Right?
And the fact that he wasn't granted master.
How could I be on the Jedi Council and not be granted master? It's never been heard of.
Oh, now it has.
Guess what, bitch? Sit down and shut up. But you know what? If Anakin was given the rank of master, I'm pretty sure we would have a way different episode 3. We'd probably still get him being betraying the Jedi, but it probably would have been more conflicting.
Yeah, it would have been a much more hard decision for him.
And then what I hate what people say about episode 3 is that it's such a 180 turn for Anakin to turn to the dark side. But when you look at it, it really isn't. Because I bring up this Ki-Adi-Mundi thing again, because Ki-Adi-Mundi was allowed to have wives because his race was dying out. But if Anakin had that same permission to do so, he would be way more conflicted in betraying the Jedi Order, right? And you see, he's having to hide everything that he was, and he's hiding his life, he's hiding his passions, he's hiding what is important to him. And that's where we get the famous line from Yoda, do not fear the inevitable, you should embrace them, because fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. Which Anakin embodies way too well. Anakin
is one of the most painful things to watch. It's like, you were the chosen one. Well, he still is. Just it's not in the ending that you guys wanted.
Yeah. But still.
And there's a lot of theories about the Jedi actually being evil and the Sith being right.
How interesting.
There's a lot of theory around that. Because a lot of what the Jedi are is closing off your emotions and not listening to what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
While the Sith is embracing all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So you could see it as the Sith are actually correct, while the Jedi are wrong.
You're right. So their dogmatic views led to their own destruction because they felt that they were so, above everyone else that they didn't need to be focusing on their passions because guess what? It just leads to all kinds of negative attributes. But if you follow your passions and do it in the correct way, you can actually have a better life.
And we can talk about Obi-Wan and the Countess.
Obi-Wan fucks. I was actually really surprised that Rey wasn't his granddaughter. And it was Palpatine's. Like that seemed like a missed opportunity.
That was a big missed opportunity, but I think the difference we see between Obi-Wan and Anakin is Obi-Wan was able to put that aside for the greater good that he honestly believed in.
Mm-hmm. And Anakin didn't give a fuck.
Anakin didn't give a fuck because he was more concerned about the repercussions, not what the greater good might be.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can see where his ideological view lines up, and we can see his turn to the dark side. And it becomes a lot more clear. Thank God, Clone Wars is a series.
Thank God, yeah, exactly. Like 'cause that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't just watch the movies and see this, but if you watch all the stuff that leads up to Anakin's fall to the dark side, it makes a lot of sense why he would choose the dark side, because he was determined to make sure his visions didn't happen, which were Palpatine's doing anyways. Right, and Palpatine's technically his father, because they manipulated him and Plagueis manipulated the midichlorians, and the Force rejected them, and it made instead of them conquering in the time frame they wanted, they got Anakin. So, and I forget which novel it is, but the talk about how Darth Sidious became the one Sith to get Dooku and everyone else, he is so maniacal and so cunning to get Plagueis. He got him drunk and then he fucked his shit up, and then hid the evidence.
Scary powerful Sidious is.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it makes sense why he's a manipulator of everything. I wish that we got more of Palpatine in the background in the earlier installments of the new trilogy to make more sense for episodes.
Yeah. But yeah, that's that top 11 list. That's
the top 11 list. We talked about a lot of shit here.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's all we really have for this episode. It's a very long episode indeed. Will, I do appreciate you coming by. I love having you on the show. It's always a fun time.
Oh yeah, I love being on here when I can.
But guys, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, guys. Keep smoking.
Hi guys, you made it to the end of the video. Congratulations. Not everyone does. Had to get a little bit more healing. If you like the podcast, be sure to like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Be sure to also share us on Facebook and Instagram under Spotify. If you want to follow us on Instagram and or Twitter, you want to follow _hookahologists. And to find more podcasts and everything else like that, be sure to find us on Facebook under Cinema Smokography. And until next time, guys. Oh wait, I almost forgot. If you want to support the podcast, be sure to click the link in the description below. And now, next time, guys, keep smoking.